Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Stock. This video is for entertainment purposes only. Today I would like to talk about Coinbase with the upcoming IPO and some of my takes that I have on it, some of the reading that I've done, and some of the things that I've considered, and just some of those considerations that I would like to share with you. So without further ado, let's get ready to rock. Welcome back. For those of you who are interested, down in the description is the link to my Patreon. By signing up for my Patreon, you get access to my growth portfolio, my dividend portfolio, my weekly newsletter, my weekly watch list of stocks, and also the private Discord that's over there, as well as Patreon exclusive videos that I have most recently started. I have 3 out so far. I'm ramping up to make another one, and I'm excited about that. I like the way that the community is growing and the way that we're there to support each other. So if you want to check that out, that link is down in the description. Also down in the description is a link to Webull. By depositing $100, by signing up and depositing $100, you can get 2 free stocks. I get 2 free stocks, so it helps support the channel, so thank you in advance for that. Finally, if you haven't already and you'd like to, go ahead and subscribe, hit the notification bell, hit the like button, share with your friends. Let's get on to the stocks. Alright, so with Coinbase, I've heard a lot about the $100 billion valuation, and so on Seeking Alpha I found this one saying that it's highly overvalued at $100 billion, so I thought that that was a good place to start. And it is dated for April the 1st, so this is before the most recent, the preliminary results for Q1 came out. With the different numbers that are there, I'll go over those in just a moment. But I like this one because it says already beforehand, hey, we think it should be about 40 billion, which is about 60% lower. So, and with that implied market cap of 100 billion that we have, and I like that they discuss the different risks and stuff. So, reading cases like this that are sort of bear cases that say, hey, this is going to be worse than we think it is. Now, mind you, I think there's another bear case out there that's down as far as 20 billion. But I think from some of the higher cases that we have that are on the upside of 160 million or so, all the way down to the ones that are 20 million, landing somewhere in the middle, I think, is more where we'll find ourselves. So this is one of the things that I looked at, and reading through this analysis and the different things that they had to say about the way they came up with their multiples and the price to share from the different exchanges that they have, so ICE and then NASDAQ exchange, Euronext, all of those, and factoring the growth factor, they say it comes out to about $40 billion or so, according to those results from that. And then combining that with what we had from D.A. Davidson, if I scroll up to the top of this, for them it's more of a $90 billion valuation that they have, and they see a price target of $440 per share. So I wanted to kind of get a view on it, get a feel for both of these and see what I thought of them. So I made up this spreadsheet with just some of the numbers that we had that really showcase some of the growth that the company experienced following what they said for their Q1 2021 results. So we can see the growth that we had just year over year from 2019 to 2020, and you can see that we have some really impressive numbers. So you would think just from this that people would be excited about Coinbase's IPO that takes place on Wednesday of this week. And, I got to say that these are some pretty impressive numbers. Some of them I don't think are sustainable, such as the adjusted EBITDA that we see here. That's fairly high, being at 2,000%, and that certainly comes back into line, I think, more so in the next set of numbers that we have. The monthly transacting users, the MTU number, went from 1 million to 2.8 million, 180%. And also the assets on platform up to $90 billion. And then when we go down to here in this second set of numbers that we have from 2020, this is just Q1. This is not year over year like up above. This is, and here I indicated previous year versus most recent quarter. And it was such a drastic change that I think it's worth comparing what we have in the quarter, even though they look like year over year results. So you can see there was a 30% change in the monthly and the verified users from 43 million up to 56 million, and then also in monthly transacting users from 2.8 million up to 6.1 million, and again an increase over doubling what we have. Now about that, when we get into the estimates for that, and something forward looking from Coinbase says they expect that average for MTU to be somewhere between 4 and 7. So in my estimates later, I'll cover that. It is lower than the 6.1 that we have here. assets on platform. With the excitement with Bitcoin and Ethereum being the main two cryptocurrencies that are traded on their platform, that makes up the bulk of this, and with those inflated prices that we've had, that explains a lot of the large jump that we see there. And also the trading volumes that we have were also significantly different from year-end 2020, so the total year of 2020 to what we have just in Q1, and that was rather substantial. So also net income, you can see we over doubled from the end of 2020, all of 2020, just into Q1 of 2021. And again, just an astounding amount just to see one quarter. As I read these, I'm so used to seeing year over year on this stuff that to see this sort of growth and these kind of numbers come out of a single quarter is pretty exciting. And we do have to be careful because, sustaining these, even when we look at the analysis, the D.A. Davidson one is one that I looked at, and they don't keep up with this sort of pace, and I'll get to that in just a moment. So when we see the adjusted EBITDA here, and I believe that these are all non-GAAP measures that we have. Again, we over doubled there, and I just included lines for total revenue, and you can see that 40% increase in revenue that we made, going from 2020's revenue, the entire year's revenue, just into the quarter of 2021. And that's a sizable increase, going up 40% in just a single quarter. In this next set, we have the estimate for 2021's, according to D.A. Davidson, for some of it, and the change in year over year, and I'll talk about that in a moment. So verified users in 2020, this is official. This is 43 million verified, and what I did to go from the 56 million verified users for Q1 2021 to 60 million for the entire year for verified users in 2021 was I took from their S1 filing that back as far as 2018, they had usually 1 to 2 million verified users added per quarter. So all I did was I put on 4 million more according to that. And so that's a low ball number, but it still come out to be 40% change year over year, which is still very strong numbers for growth. Monthly transacting users, this is official from 2020. This is what's speculated by Coinbase themselves. This is the average of the 4 to 7 million monthly transacting users. So I just took the average, went right in the middle of those, and you can see that still comes just shy of double from what we had in 2020's numbers. Assets on platform, I left that unchanged. I didn't know how exactly I wanted to work that. I had some ideas about what I wanted to do, given that Bitcoin is about 70% of those assets, and I believe that Ethereum is somewhere around either 7 to 15%. I'd have to go back and look to see exactly what it says, but if I go back with those breakdowns, I can actually adjust those numbers a little bit more. I left trading volume untouched as well. Net income, now this comes back to D.A. Davidson, and you can see it's almost doubling what came out in 2021, and I used the low number here, 730 million, as the net income rather than going with the 800 million, because I'd rather shoot just a little bit lower than what they say. If we wanted to go with the average, I think D.A. Davidson uses 765 because it's the average between the 730 million and the 800 million for that range that was given for the net income for Q1 2021. Adjusted EBITDA, again, this is from D.A. Davidson, and same thing for total revenue. This is from D.A. Davidson, and look at these year-over-year changes that we have. So net income, 100% would be doubling, 200% tripling, quadrupling would be 300%. This is almost going up. This is between 4 and 5x from where we're at year's end 2020 for that net income that we have, and so that's really astounding, almost going up 400%. So we'll see if we keep pace with that. So the income does taper off according to Davidson's estimates, looking forward through 2021. Same thing for the adjusted EBITDA. You can see that only nearly doubled from what it was in Q1 2021. And then also the revenue that we have, rather strong revenue for total revenue coming out, still going up considerably over what we had to end the year in 2020. So these estimates, I believe these estimates, they're at least believable estimates that we have, and I think that there's a number of reasons for the tapering off of the revenues that we see. And I think a large part of that, for the revenues anyway, has to go with increased competition. Also, the idea that if there is increased competition, that there would be that race to the bottom that they talk about as far as fees go for trading cryptocurrencies. And so that's something that's really strong. It's like 86% of Coinbase's revenues right now come from those transacting fees. And so trying to move away from those transaction fees, or trying to make it so that it would be free to trade those, would be something that would be significantly inhibitory for their business model right now. So they are working on coming up with other revenue streams and building other revenue streams, and also something that's going to dig into their net income over time is their sales, and their marketing is something that they're also going to increase spending on. So that's something that's going to cut into their net income as well. Now, as far as the $90 billion valuation coming out of D.A. Davidson, the bear case that I was talking about from Seeking Alpha, if we went to 90 billion, which they talked about 100 billion, but here I brought it in line with what Davidson said with 90 billion, they give us a price to sales ratio coming out of 2020 of 70.5, and then using just Q1's numbers, not the entire year, it brings us down to 50. And as soon as we bring in the entire year's number with that $90 billion valuation that we have, and we bring it down to 2021's expected revenue of $4.4 billion, then we significantly drove down that price into more reasonable levels. Still rather on the high side, but for a fast-growing company, it could be something that would help justify prices like this one. So when we look at 2020's profit margin, we're at 25%. Just off of Q1 2021, we're sitting just above 40% for a profit margin. So excellent profit margin there. And by the end of 2021, the outlook for this, the expectation, the estimate coming from D.A. Davidson, that's what DAD is there, D.A. Davidson, is 35.47%. So they're sitting pretty with their profit margins, and I really think that Coinbase is going to come out strong. I don't know if it'll hit the $90 billion valuation. I think that we might come close to it. It really depends on the sort of excitement that we see. There are some things that are going for Coinbase that I think make for a bull case for it, and such things as the trust and the safety with the software, the integrity in the exchange, user experience and friendliness. Liquidity, I think, is absolutely huge, bringing in those institutions to ensure greater liquidity, and they have a market maker incentive program where they charge lower fees for the different transactions that are done by those market makers as part of that program. So they have low liquidity trade pairs that have a higher multiple, and then they have high liquidity trade pairs that have a lower multiple, and then there's one that's in between. It's 1x, 10x, and 15x, and really trying to get more instantaneous trading down. Increasing that liquidity is something that is highly desirable when it comes to trading with cryptocurrencies, trying to bring it more in line with like what we would see with the regular stock market. Also, something else that really I think makes for a bull case for, and if you look in the S1 filings, you'll see this, an increasing market share. Right now in the crypto market, Coinbase has an 11% market share, and that's been rising like 3 or 4% every year so far. So we'll see, we look to see for that market share to be increasing in 2021 as well, or by the end of 2021. And the last thing, this one would really apply to all cryptocurrency exchanges, and that's increasing market acceptance and the use of cryptocurrencies themselves. So let me summarize. Coinbase, I think the IPO is going to be very exciting to watch it hit the markets on Wednesday, April 14th. I think we're going to see a huge price spike at first in it. I think we're going to see some volatility as it really tries to price itself into the market. I think a $90 billion valuation through 2021 is something that's attainable. I don't know if I see ones that are incredibly higher, but I really think settling somewhere around in there in the short term would be a reasonable price for Coinbase. There are more bear cases out there to read. There's more bullish cases out there to read. So I highly recommend that you go out and you take a look and you see what they say and you consider what they have to say, work with those numbers, read through that S1 and see what you think about it. For me, IPO day is not going to be the day that I buy in. It's a stock that I will wait for the dust to settle a little bit and see if it's something that I would like to buy into. And I hope that there's an opportunity there waiting for me when I'm ready. So that's what I have for you guys today. Again, if you want to check out my Patreon or if you want to sign up for Webull and get your free stocks, those links are down in the description. Remember, these videos are for entertainment purposes only. Always do your own due diligence and research. Contact a financial advisor before making any financial decisions. I'm Dr. Stock. Thanks for rocking with me. Now go get that money.